Unleash the Beast was an excellent Saxon album. What can we expect from your new album coming out now very soon?
Well, it's similar to Unleash the Beast in that it's atmospheric, quite dark, and it's a mixture between sort of heavy metal and heavy rock, which is what Unleash the Beast was really. That's the best way of explaining it.
Well, I think Unleash the Beast was an outstanding heavy metal album and more metal than you have been for years or maybe since you started. How come?
No, I just think we got back to a more heavy metal roots, more heavier, more British metal thing, really. I mean, we just went back to how we used to be, basically, which was a sort of heavy metal band with quite a lot of melody in there. So, it's just come full circle, really, which is great, I suppose.
Do you feel that you always stay true to where you came from? I mean, like in the 80s, you went kind of more commercial or softer?
Well, I think we've tried to stay true to our sort of roots. But I think in the middle 80s, or late 80s, everybody went a little bit sort of more glam rock, the American thing. And I think maybe we lost a lot of fans in Europe because of that. But we were just having a lot of fun, really. I mean, do you know what I mean? I mean, it has to be good fun, really. Otherwise, it's all for fucking nothing, really. You know what I'm saying? I mean, our type of music has to be, it has to be really genuine rock music. If it's not genuine rock music and it just follows trends, I don't think it's right for us, really.
You say maybe you lost some fans during the 80s. You're playing Wacken tonight. Do you think they're back? Do you have the same audience now as you did back in the day?
No, I don't think so. I think some of our older fans buy the albums, but I think it's mostly a lot of new fans are getting into sort of the more sort of traditional classic metal. So I think we do have a lot of older fans who've been with us since the 80s, but I think you'll find that most of the audience here today would be sort of between 16 and 35 or something, so I don't know really, but we find that our audience is getting younger. The older we get, the younger our audience gets, which is strange, but that's the way it is.
Well, it's really cool that younger metalheads are catching up with classic acts like Saxon, but do you listen to newer heavy metal bands yourself?
We do hear metal bands, all the time. We seem to be hearing a lot of sort of, like the Freedom Call, Angra stuff seems to be popular again, which is pretty cool because it's based on melody, so we quite like that style. But we also like the old favourites, like King's X, or everybody's got different bands they like, really. I tend to like the older 80s bands myself, whereas maybe somebody like Nibs is more into the more of the modern stuff.
Well, I just like I prefer more of the harder bands like Slayer, that kind of thing. But I'm really into melody and stuff like that. But I like the harder stuff.
You were obviously a huge inspiration for many bands through the years. Do you pick up any influences yourself from newer bands when you're writing Saxon material?
Well, we don't listen to a lot of music while we're writing, and I'm sure musical trends do influence you. Yeah, I mean, some of the riffs on the album are definitely more modern than we were, but because they are more modern, they actually sound a bit older. Do you understand what I'm saying? They come more from a Sabbathy thing, so it sounds cool to me. I mean, the heavy, medium tempo songs, are what we used to write anyway.
you were one of the biggest bands coming out of the new wave of British heavy metal. Can you tell how important that wave was for Saxon?
The thing is with the new wave of British heavy metal, you know, it was absolutely massive in the early 80s right up to 1985. And then it took a bit of a dip. And sort of this year and next year is the 20th anniversary. And I think there's a lot of big things being planned for the anniversary. I think maybe there might be a Donington with a lot of British bands on that were on the first Donington. So I think the next year will be quite a big thing for the British metal thing. And I think it's important in that we brought out a new type of music that wasn't based so much on sort of musical ability. Although all the musicians and we're all, you know, everybody's a great musician, we weren't sort of like a Deep Purple that did sort of, you know, 50-minute organ solos. When we first came out, we did 4-minute songs, you know, heavy 4-minute songs and melodic songs and songs that were ridiculously fast. So basically, we were just having fun with the music. So I think in that respect, you know, it is important, yeah, because Iron Maiden came out of that same thing, you know, and you know, Def Leppard came out of that period. A lot of bands who were around before that period, like Judas Priest, Motorhead, you know, also became really big because of that thing. But we don't see it as very important. But other people tend to think it's more important than we do, you know. I mean, we've just been sort of playing our music for the last 20 years, and sometimes we're up and sometimes we're down. And at the moment we're on and up, so, you know, maybe a couple of years we'll be on and down again, who knows, I don't know. We just take every day as it comes, really.
Well, Fritz, you are Saxon's brand new drummer. Can you tell a bit about what you did before you joined Saxon?
Before I did a couple of years, a band that's playing now is Sinner, a German band, and before Sinner I did another German band called Victory. Yes.
How did you get in touch with the guys in the first place?
Oh, it was pretty easy. I get the phone call. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We did try quite a lot of drummers. And Fritz was the worst drummer, so we picked him, didn't we?
Yeah, you have to know, I was homeless, running out of money, and he asked me, hey, can you play drums? I said, maybe a little bit. Okay, we have to take this poor guy. That was...
That's true, yeah.
How did you discover Fritz? Was he recommended, or did you hear him live, or did you hear his previous albums? And why did you pick him?
No, we'd heard him on albums, really. And his style of drumming is very similar to Nigel's drumming. So that's
I'm not
pretty
the
cool.
fucking copy. But
I did a copy, but the style, it's an 80s style of drumming, and we like that style. Whereas the younger guys we tried were really good on the fast stuff, but on the slow things they couldn't drum for shit, you know. So it was okay on Motorcycle Man or something really fast. But on things like Denim and Leather, it was like... No groove. It was terrible, so we picked Fritz.
You guys have written a lot of classics through the years. Is it possible for Saxon to write another great classic as Motorcycle Man or Denim and Leather? Yeah. On a new album, maybe?
Yeah, Conquistador is a classic. Yeah. So that's what the Spanish say anyway. So.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with them. Ready? This is Biff Byford from Saxon. You're listening to Metal Express. Yeah, Metalhead.